Good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday, August 4th. From the San Antonio Express News, my name is Luis Vasquez, and this is your Express Briefing. All of the stories you need to know to start your day. You can expect mostly cloudy skies and a high of 99 in San Antonio today. Across South Texas, schools in the UIL's smaller enrollment categories began football practice on Monday, with social distancing, masks, and sanitizer galore. Bexar County schools in classes 3A and 4A could have started football workouts on Monday, but they chose not to, at least for now. The number of new novel coronavirus cases in Bexar County was 56 on Monday, a sharp drop from the 500 or more recently reported each day. Mayor Ron Nirenberg has one explanation for the dramatic increase that you can find in the link in the episode's description. And now, let's move on to the top stories for the day. Tens of thousands of Texas immigrants will have to pay hundreds of dollars more, if not thousands, to live or work in the United States as the Trump administration enacts a fee hike that immigration attorneys say is the biggest they've seen. Fees for some applications, including for citizenship, are set to nearly double, while some seeking permanent residence may have to pay thousands more because of the new fees in the application process. And for the first time, the U.S. will charge asylum seekers a $50 fee, making America one of the 4 nations in the world that charge for that service. Find out what advocates and U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Service officials say about the changes, as well as what effect they'll have on immigration, in the latest from Benjamin Wermund. More than 5 months into the COVID-19 crisis, the number of people killed by the disease in San Antonio since the epidemic began varies widely depending on where you look. Metro Health on Monday reported a toll of 370 deaths since March. The state's official count was much higher at 622. The larger number is widely reported nationally by major outlets that rely on state-by-state reports, including the Johns Hopkins Coronavirus Resource Center. Brian Chasnoff explores the reason for the massive discrepancy. In the Rio Grande Valley, decades of poverty and poor healthcare access has contributed to a coronavirus death rate and positivity rate that has amounted to a humanitarian crisis, affecting generations of families who are becoming ill and dying from the disease. In Starr County, the lone hospital is so overwhelmed by coronavirus patients that County Judge Eloy Vera announced the formation of a death panel to oversee triage, sending sick patients with no hope of survival home to die. Reporter Sylvia Foster-Frau and photographer Bob Owen provide a closer look at how it happened and the devastating effect on families that didn't have much to begin with. You can find a link to the reporting, as well as a link to the in-depth podcast where I had the chance to interview Sylvia Foster-Frau about this story. The headwaters at Incarnate Word's 50-acre nature sanctuary in the middle of San Antonio's urban core isn't well known, perhaps by design. Its use stretches back more than 1,200 years to the indigenous people who were the area's first and longest inhabitants. Today, the Headwaters property is really a small forest trapped within the city, filled with oaks hundreds of years old and abundant springs and wildlife. Long owned by a congregation of Catholic nuns, the nature sanctuary now has what environmentalists and land conservationists hoped it would: perpetual protection from real estate development. Elaine Ayala explains how it happened. To keep our readers up to date on the path of COVID-19, the Express News has built a dashboard of interactive graphics showing the spread of the virus in the San Antonio area, in Texas as a whole, and across the United States. We've also created an interactive map of San Antonio for COVID-19 testing sites that don't require a doctor's referral. You can find a link to the dashboard and the interactive map in this episode's description. Next up are your need-to-know headlines. You can find all of these headlines and more inside your Express News subscription. Many of the local area's best-known private religious schools are moving cautiously to reopen their campuses for fall classes in the coming weeks as the coronavirus continues to remain a threat in San Antonio and Bexar County. Texas is among 12 states where the wait time to receive COVID-19 results is more than 3 days, a new study shows. Texas, unlike 27 other states, excludes the results of increasingly popular rapid COVID-19 tests from the numbers it reports publicly, obscuring the scope of the pandemic according to recent records and interviews. A New Braunfels Marine was one of 9 troops killed in a training accident off the Southern California coast. The city of San Antonio has issued more than 2,800 warnings and 107 citations for violating the emergency declarations, according to an enforcement report. You can find a look at all the latest citations in the link in the episode's description. Regarding President Trump's handling of reported Russian bounties on U.S. troops, the Express News editorial board writes, quote, "When intelligence suggests a tyrant has placed bounties on the lives of troops, the reaction from the president should be outrage." Former President Barack Obama on Monday made his first round of 2020 endorsements, and over 24 of them were Texans, highlighting the competitiveness of the state. With polls showing a tightening race in Texas, former Vice President Joe Biden announced the hires of 2 veteran Latina political strategists who will run his statewide operation. Workers at Toyota San Antonio plant are working overtime, and the automaker is adding a Saturday shift as demand for pickup trucks outpaces supply. The coronavirus ripple effect has claimed another business victim. After 68 years, the New Braunfels Smokehouse restaurant will close for good on Friday. In July, more than 100 in-store H-E-B employees in San Antonio tested positive for the coronavirus, down from more than 120 who contracted the virus in June. Sure, DEET-based sprays are effective, but let's be honest, not one breathing soul likes the way the stuff feels on their skin. Fortunately, there are a few helpful tricks to fend off the swarms that don't require a chemistry set or stinky citronella torches. Paul Stevens has 3 natural DEET-free ways to keep mosquitoes and other bugs from biting you and from landing in your drinks this summer. And now let's move on to the fun stuff. Sauce is the boss with chicken wings. Thankfully, there are lots of good options from San Antonio area companies that sell their products online and at area farmers markets. Chuck Blunt gives you 5 that go beyond the buffalo and get the Food Shack stamp of approval. Texas State football is moving its 2020 season opener up 1 week and will host SMU on August 29 at Bobcat Stadium in San Marcos, the program announced on Monday. Also, the University of Texas released new safety measures for home football games. After earning USL Young Player of the Year recognition during his first season with the San Antonio FC last year, midfielder Christian Parano returns as an even more potent threat in 2020. And that's all for today. This was your Express Briefing. My name is Luis Vasquez. Please consider becoming an Express News subscriber to get in-depth coverage of all the stories you heard today. Also, be sure to rate and review this podcast inside your Apple Podcast app, as it really helps the show. Have a wonderful day, everyone.